can't do this anymore. Her words still echo in my head, sharp as broken glass. I remember standing in the small cafe where we always met after work. My fiancée, Elena, sat across from me, her hands wrapped tightly around her coffee cup, not looking me in the eye. Elena, what are you saying? My voice cracked. We've been planning our wedding, our life, everything. You can't just— I can, she interrupted. Her lips trembled, but her eyes were cold. I need more than love. I need a future I can count on. I stared, stunned. We are building one, together. No, she whispered, shaking her head. Victor can give me what you can't. Stability. A name. Money. I froze. Victor, the name hit me like a hammer. My so-called friend. I could barely breathe. You're leaving me for him? People at nearby tables began to whisper. I felt their eyes on me, like knives. Eleanor, I said, lowering my voice. Tell me this is some kind of sick joke. She finally looked at me, her eyes wet but determined. I don't want to waste my youth waiting for you to succeed. I'm sorry, but I made my choice. You made your choice? My chest burned. After everything, after the nights we dreamed, the promises we swore, you just throw it all away. She swallowed hard. You'll thank me one day. You'll see, I laughed bitterly. Thank you for shattering me, for spitting on everything we had. Victor appeared at the door then, wearing his smug grin. He walked toward her, sliding his arm around her shoulders like she was already his prize. You ready? He asked her. She nodded without hesitation. Elena, don't you dare walk away from me like this, I pleaded. Don't you dare, but she did. She stood, adjusted her coat and walked out with him. Not once did she look back. The cafe went silent. Every whisper stung. I wanted to scream, to break, to vanish. Instead, I stood rooted in place, my fists clenched so hard my nails cut into my skin. One friend leaned toward another and whispered loud enough for me to hear. Poor guy. She traded him for money. Their pity felt worse than knives. I left the cafe, stumbling into the night air. The city lights blurred with my tears. My chest felt hollow, as if she had ripped my heart out and left nothing but ash. I stood on the street corner for what felt like hours, watching strangers pass by. Their lives continued as mine collapsed. Finally, I whispered into the cold night, a vow that burned in my throat. I'll never forgive you, Elena. Not today. Not ever. The words were the only thing holding me together. 7 years. That's how long it's been since Elena walked out of my life. 7 years of rebuilding myself from the ruins she left behind. The first year, I drowned in silence. Every night, I stared at the ceiling, hearing her voice replay, Victor can give me what you can't. Get up, James, my sister Clara used to say, dragging the curtains open. She's gone. Stop killing yourself over someone who didn't care. I can't, I muttered more than once. She was everything. Clara never gave up. She cooked for me, forced me to eat, shoved applications into my hands. She was relentless. Without her, I might not have survived. Then came Ethan, my best friend since school. He pulled me into bars, pushed me toward opportunities, shoved me back into life. One night, as I nursed a drink, he said, Listen, man, one day she'll regret it. And when she does, you better be standing on your own 2 feet. I gritted my teeth. What if she never regrets it? He smirked. Then you'll still be standing. That's the point. It took years. I fell. I failed. I stood again. I took small jobs, then bigger ones, until I found my way into business. I worked while others slept, fueled by rage and memory. I refused to let her betrayal define me as a victim. By the 4th year, my small company was born. By the 6th, it was thriving. And by the 7th, I wasn't just surviving. I was respected. But no matter how high I climbed, some nights I still heard her voice. Some mornings I still woke with the echo of her walking away. Clara saw it in my eyes. You're still holding on, she told me gently. Not to her, but to the wound. Maybe, I admitted, but it keeps me moving. Ethan clapped my shoulder one evening, grinning. Let her keep her regrets. You've already won. You're living. I smiled, but inside I knew. Winning didn't erase the scar. Even as I stood in my office, surrounded by success I had carved out of stone, a part of me remained broken. The boy who was left behind still lived inside me, whispering the same vow. Never forgive. 7 empty years had made me stronger, yes, but they had also made me harder. And somewhere deep down, I waited, not for her, but for the day fate would bring her face back into my world. The gala lights were blinding, but not as much as the sight that froze me in place. Elena, I whispered under my breath. She stood at the edge of the crowd, dressed in an elegant gown that tried to mask the years. Time had touched her. Lines around her eyes, a weariness in her smile. But she was still the woman who had torn my world apart. Amelia, my business partner, noticed my stillness. "James, you look like you've seen a ghost." I forced a breath. "Maybe I have." When Elena's eyes met mine, her lips parted. She looked terrified, as if I were the phantom haunting her. Slowly, she made her way across the room. "James," she whispered when she reached me, her voice trembling. I said nothing. "You're different, stronger. I almost didn't recognize you." 7 years changes people, I replied flatly. She swallowed hard. "I've waited so long to tell you. I was wrong," Amelia frowned, sensing the tension. "Should I give you two a moment?" "Yes," Elena said quickly, before I could answer. Amelia gave me a questioning glance. I nodded once. She stepped away, though I could see her watching from across the room. Elena's hands shook as she tried to hold my gaze. "Victor, he wasn't who I thought he was. He betrayed me. He left me with nothing. And all I could think about was you." I clenched my jaw. "So now you remember me?" After 7 years, tears welled in her eyes. I never stopped remembering. I told myself I'd come back, but shame kept me away. "Until tonight," I laughed, bitter and sharp. "Shame? That's what kept you? Not happiness with Victor? Not money and comfort?" Her voice cracked. "I was wrong. I chose wrong. James, I've lived in regret every single day." The crowd around us laughed. Glasses clinked. Music played. But for me, the world had narrowed to her trembling words. I leaned closer, my voice low. "Do you know what I felt when you walked away with him that night? Do you even remember the promise I made?" She flinched. "Yes, you said you'd never forgive me." "And I meant it." Her face paled. "But people change. Some wounds don't." Her hand hovered as if to touch me, but I stepped back. "Don't!" She bit her lip, fighting tears. "Then at least let me explain, please. One chance to speak. After that, if you still hate me, I'll leave forever." For a long moment, I said nothing. My chest burned with a strange mixture of rage and satisfaction. Finally, I whispered, "One chance. That's all." Her relief showed in the trembling smile she gave, but inside me, something darker stirred. We met in a quiet cafe, the kind where the air smelled of roasted beans and old wood. I chose the seat by the window, watching her arrive with nervous steps. "Thank you for coming," she said softly. I didn't answer, just gestured for her to sit. Her fingers twisted around her cup. "Victor ruined me. He lied, cheated, drained everything. When he left, I had nothing. No money, no name, no love, nothing." I watched the steam rise from my coffee. "And you think telling me this fixes something?" Her eyes filled. "No, I need you to know I see now. You were the one who loved me. You were the one I should have chosen." I clenched my fists under the table. "Don't you dare say that now. You chose him over me. Not once, not by accident. You made that choice with clear eyes." "I was foolish," she whispered. "Blind. I thought love wasn't enough. I thought security mattered more. But I was wrong. And every day since, I've regretted it." I leaned forward. "Do you know what 7 years felt like? 7 years of being the fool everyone pitied. 7 years of hearing whispers about how James was abandoned for money." She flinched at my words. "I deserve your anger. I deserve worse. But James, please believe me, I never stopped thinking of you. I loved you, even when I was with him." I slammed my hand against the table. "Don't lie to me." The cafe fell silent for a moment. I lowered my voice. "You don't get to rewrite history because you're broken now." Tears streamed down her face. "I'm not asking for history to change. I'm asking for forgiveness, just that. I can't move on unless you forgive me." I shook my head. "Forgiveness isn't something you can demand like payment. And even if I gave it, what then? You want me to take you back? Pretend 7 years didn't happen?" Her voice cracked. "I want a chance to make it right." I stared at her, my heart torn between fury and pity. "You want a chance because you've lost everything, not because you love me." She whispered, "I do love you." I never stopped. I laughed bitterly. "You don't even know what love is." Silence hung heavy between us. Finally, she reached across the table, her hand trembling. "James, I beg you, please, forgive me." My hands shook under the table. Rage, pity, sorrow. Everything churned inside me. But the only thing I managed to say was, I don't know if forgiveness is even possible. Her tears fell harder. Then let me prove myself. I stood abruptly. We're done for today. She froze, fear flashing in her eyes. Without another word, I walked out. The cold air slapped me, but it wasn't enough to clear my head. Later that evening, I met Mr. Harris, my old mentor. He studied me quietly. You look haunted. She wants forgiveness, I muttered. And what do you want? He asked. I had no answer. News spread faster than I expected. By the next day, it seemed everyone in my life had an opinion about Elena's return. Clara was the first to corner me. James, she waited 7 years. 7 years and she came back. Doesn't that mean something? I sighed. It means she ran out of options. Her eyes softened. Don't be cruel. Maybe she really regrets it. People can change. Or maybe they don't, I muttered. Later, Ethan barged into my office, dropping into the chair across from me. I heard the witch is back. I rubbed my temples. You never liked her. Because I saw what you couldn't, he shot back. She was always chasing more. And guess what? She chased herself into nothing. Don't fall for her sob story. She says she regrets it. He leaned forward. Regret doesn't equal love. Don't confuse the two. His words lingered. That evening, Amelia stopped by while we went over contracts. She studied me carefully. You've been distracted. It's her, isn't it? Yes, I admitted. She wants forgiveness? I nodded. Amelia set her pen down. Forgiveness isn't always the same as taking someone back. Sometimes letting go is the strongest move. Her calm voice steadied me, but inside, I was chaos. Later at dinner, Clara pressed again. Please, James, don't carry bitterness forever. Forgive her, for yourself, if nothing else. Ethan, sitting nearby, scoffed. Forgive? No. He needs to remember the pain she caused. Closure doesn't mean opening the same wound again. Clara glared. You always wanted him to be hard. What about healing? And you always wanted him to be a saint, Ethan snapped. Healing isn't about rewarding someone who betrayed him. Their voices clashed, bouncing off the walls. I sat between them, silent. Finally, Clara turned to me. What do you want, James? I stared at my plate. I don't know, Ethan sighed. That's the problem. She's getting in your head again. Amelia's earlier words echoed. Sometimes letting go is the strongest move. But what was letting go? Forgiving her? Forgetting her? Or finally saying what I had kept inside for 7 years? Everyone's voices swirled around me. Advice, pressure, demands. Yet inside me, there was only silence. And that silence scared me more than their noise. I decided to test her. When Eleanor asked to see me again, I invited her to a small gathering instead. Friends we hadn't seen in years, old connections. She hesitated, then agreed, thinking it was a sign of acceptance. The evening buzzed with laughter, glasses clinking, old stories resurfacing. Elena stayed close to me, smiling too brightly, holding my arm as if staking her claim. James, one of our old friends said, remember when Elena used to say Victor was the smartest man in town? The air tightened. Elena's smile faltered. She laughed weakly. People say foolish things when they're young. Where is Victor now? Another asked casually. Elena's eyes dropped. Gone. I watched her carefully. Her tone carried shame she couldn't hide. Later, she leaned closer. Why bring me here? To humiliate me? I kept my voice calm. No, to see you among people who knew us. To see if you're the same. Her fingers gripped my sleeve. I've changed, James. I swear. Changed. Or desperate? I asked quietly. She froze. Throughout the night, she tried harder, laughing too much, clinging to me, telling everyone how I'd always been the best man she ever knew. But I saw through it. This wasn't love. This was survival. When the night ended, she whispered as we walked out, Did I pass your test? I looked at her. It wasn't a test you could win. Her face crumbled. Then why invite me at all? To remind myself of who you are. Her voice broke. And who am I? I paused at the doorway, my chest tight. Someone who only came back because she lost everything. Her tears glistened in the light, but I turned away. Inside, my thoughts burned. She doesn't love me. She loves what she lost. And finally, I began to see the truth. I invited them all, Clara, Ethan, Amelia, a few friends, and Elena. She thought it was my way of accepting her again. I saw it in her eyes the moment she arrived, dressed elegantly, her smile sharp enough to cut. "James," she breathed, brushing my hand. "Thank you for this. It means more than you know." I only nodded. The dinner began with laughter and polite conversation. Clara tried to ease the tension, telling stories from childhood. Ethan kept sipping his wine, eyes flicking between me and Elena like a hawk waiting for the strike. Amelia stayed quiet, but her gaze lingered, steady and knowing. Elena basked in the attention, leaning closer whenever someone mentioned me. "James has always been a man of strength," she said loudly, her hand on my arm. "I'm lucky to be sitting beside him again. Lucky." The word tasted bitter. Halfway through the meal, she lifted her glass. "I want to say something." The table fell silent. She smiled, though her eyes shimmered with nerves. 7 years ago, I made the worst mistake of my life. I left the man who truly loved me. Tonight, sitting here, I feel as if fate is giving me another chance. James, you were always the man who stood by me, the man who cared. Clara's lips parted, hope flickering. Ethan muttered under his breath. "Here it comes," Eleanor continued, her voice trembling just enough to sound sincere. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I also know love doesn't vanish. Not real love. I believe it still exists between us." Her words crawled under my skin. My heart pounded, but I stayed still, my fork untouched. The room grew tense. Clara whispered, "James, say something." Amelia's voice cut gently. "Sometimes silence says more than words." Eleanor reached for my hand. "Please, tell me I'm right." I looked at her, then at everyone watching. The weight of their eyes pressed against me. But I said nothing. The meal continued in strained silence, her hand trembling on the table. I let her drown in it. By dessert, Eleanor's mask was cracking. She pushed her plate away, her voice breaking. "James, I can't take this silence. Please just answer me. Do you still hate me?" All eyes turned to me. Clara's eyes were wide, wet with tears. Ethan leaned forward, fists tight. Amelia's gaze was steady, waiting. I finally spoke, my voice calm. "You waited 7 years to hear this." Elena froze, breath caught. "I don't hate you," I said slowly. "I just don't care anymore." The room went still. Even the clinking of glasses stopped. Clara whispered, "James." But her voice faded into nothing. Elena's face shattered. Her lips trembled. No, you can't mean that. After everything, we were supposed to." "There is no we," I cut in. "Not anymore." Tears spilled down her cheeks. She reached across the table. "Please don't do this." I gave up everything to come back. "I chose wrong, yes, but my heart never stopped loving you." Ethan scoffed. "Your heart?" "Don't make me laugh," Clara snapped. "Ethan!" But even she sounded unsure. Elena clutched at my sleeve. "I thought you'd be angry. I thought you'd yell, curse, anything. But this coldness, it's worse." I pulled my arm back. "Good. Then you understand." Her sobs filled the silence. She turned to Clara, desperate. Tell him to forgive me." Clara's tears fell as she whispered, "I can't. Not if his heart is already gone." Elena looked at me one last time, broken. "Say something else, anything, please." I stood, my chair scraping against the floor. I already said everything. The table remained frozen. Eyes wide, mouths shut, and for the first time in 7 years, I felt free. Chapter 9. The Aftermath. 700 words. Eleanor fled the dinner in tears, heels clattering down the hall. The door slammed. Silence weighed heavy. Clara wiped her eyes. "James, you didn't have to be so cruel." I breathed out slowly. "Cruel would have been pretending." Ethan leaned back, smirking. "That was the cleanest revenge I've ever seen. No shouting, no theatrics, just one sentence. Brutal." Amelia's lips curved faintly, though her eyes softened. "It wasn't revenge," she said quietly. "It was truth." Clara shook her head. "She waited 7 years, James. People don't wait that long unless it means something." "Or unless they have nowhere else to go," Ethan countered sharply. Clara glared at him. "You don't know how she feels." "I don't need to," he said. "I saw how she treated him back then. She walked away without a glance. Now she's crawling back because she lost everything. That's not love. It's desperation." The words hit me, but I stayed silent, sipping my wine. Clara grabbed my hand. "But what if she was sincere? What if she truly regrets it?" I met her teary eyes. "Then regret is hers to live with, not mine." Her shoulders slumped. Ethan clapped me on the back. "You're free, man. Finally free, Amelia nodded, watching me carefully. Closure feels different than revenge, doesn't it? I exhaled, realizing she was right. Yes, different. Quieter. The guests whispered among themselves, some saying I was heartless, others saying I was justified. Their voices blurred into background noise. All I felt was calm. For years, I'd imagined this moment ending with anger, maybe triumph. Instead, it ended with stillness, like a storm finally passing. Clara sobbed softly, torn between pity for Eleanor and loyalty to me. Ethan poured another drink, satisfied. Amelia's faint smile lingered, almost proud. And me, I sat in silence, knowing the truth. This wasn't revenge. It was release. The night after the dinner, I barely slept. Memories clawed at me. Eleanor's tears, her trembling voice, the years I spent in her shadow. But when morning came, I felt lighter. Clara found me at breakfast. James, I don't know if you realize what you did. I know, I said. She'll carry that sentence forever. So will I admitted. Clara squeezed my shoulder. Just don't let it harden you. You deserve to love again. Her words lingered long after she left. Later, Ethan called. Man, I've never been prouder. You shut the door without slamming it. I didn't do it for pride, I replied. Doesn't matter. You've taken your power back. That's all I wanted for you. After hanging up, I opened my office window. The city stretched before me, alive, untouchable. For once I wasn't haunted by her shadow. But closure has a way of testing itself. That afternoon, a letter arrived. I recognized her handwriting instantly. My chest tightened as I opened it. James, I don't know how to move forward. I've lost everything. Victor, my pride, my hope. But losing you twice is worse than all of it. Please, I beg you, give me one chance. I will spend the rest of my life proving my love. Elle and I stared at the letter, waiting for anger, for pity, for anything. Instead, I felt nothing. That nothing was freedom. I carried the letter to the fireplace, struck a match, and watched the words curl into ash. I already gave my answer, I whispered. The flames swallowed her plea, and with it, the last weight on my heart. A knock on the door pulled me from the silence. Amelia stood there, holding a stack of papers. Business contracts, she explained, then hesitated. But that's not why I came. Her eyes searched mine. I saw you last night. You didn't just end something. You began something too. I tilted my head. And what's that? She smiled gently. Your freedom. We walked outside, the evening air cool against my skin. For years I thought love was about holding on. Now I understood. It was also about letting go. Amelia fell into step beside me. We didn't speak much. We didn't need to. The quiet was different than with Elena. No tension, no waiting for betrayal. Just peace. I glanced at her, catching the faint curve of her lips as the city lights reflected in her eyes. Maybe this was how beginnings looked. Soft, unspoken, real. I whispered to myself, almost a prayer. Forgiveness isn't always taking someone back. Sometimes it's letting go completely. And for the first time in 7 years, I wasn't walking alone.